In this recipe, we're making an easy Indian-style paneer curry that's perfect for a weeknight meal. We're making it rich and creamy using almonds instead of cream. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're starting out with a half of a package of paneer, so it's about 6 ounces of paneer, and we're just going to cube that up. Then we've got half of a red onion, and we're going to finely dice that. And then I'm using half of a large jalapeno, and I'm cutting out the center with the seeds and the veins, and I'm just going to dice up half of that jalapeno. 2 cloves of garlic minced, 1.5 teaspoons of ginger paste. And before we get started, I also want to just put all of the spices together so I can just toss them in at the appropriate moment. So we've got 1 teaspoon of coriander, half of a teaspoon of Kashmiri chili powder, half of a teaspoon of cumin powder, 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. I like to use black pepper with turmeric because it's supposed to help with the health benefits that turmeric can provide. 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of ground cardamom, 1/8 teaspoon of clove powder, 1/8 teaspoon of nutmeg, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, half of a teaspoon of dried onion. So we're going to heat up our pan over medium-high heat. We're using a saucepan here. We're going to add in about a tablespoon of ghee to the bottom of the pan. You can also use oil if you'd like. We're going to add in the onions and the jalapeno pepper to the pot, and we're going to fry that until the onions are soft and maybe even a little bit brown on the edges, so for about 4 to 6 minutes. Then we're going to add in the ginger and the mixed garlic, and then we'll add in the almond flour. And then we'll toss in the spices, and we'll fry that up for 1 to 2 minutes. Then we're going to add in the pureed or crushed tomatoes, and we're going to stir that up well. And if any browning happened on the bottom of the pan, the tomatoes will help to lift that off the bottom of the pan. And you might also want to add in 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup of water. We're going to reduce the heat to medium-low, and we're going to let that simmer for about 15 minutes, stirring occasionally just to make sure that our sauce doesn't burn on the bottom of the pan. Once it's all cooked up, it should be looking really nice. And optionally, I think this is a great technique. So if you have a hand blender that's designed to be used in hot liquids, turn off the heat and just blend it up to kind of make the sauce a little bit smoother. It's a lot easier than pouring it into a blender, especially if we're doing this as a weeknight meal. Then we're going to add in our paneer cubes, and we're going to cook that for 3 to 5 minutes. And there we go. We've got a delicious paneer dish. And if you serve it over cauliflower rice, it'll keep this dish low carb and super tasty. And this also pairs really great with my palak paneer weeknight recipe, and you can actually cook both of these side by side, and I've got a video on exactly how to do that. Let me know what you think of this recipe, and be sure to stay tuned for my next tasty low carb recipe. Hey, not bad.